Jackson's Thriller album.
Stories in the Room.
This is Michael Jackson's Thriller album, Stories in the Room. Join film composer Anthony Marinelli, who programmed synthesizers for 7 songs on Thriller, and A&R veteran film producer Stephen Ray, who assisted Quincy Jones and was in the studio every day with Quincy and Michael.
Michael Jackson's Thriller album, Stories in the Room.
I'm Anthony Marinelli with my longtime close friend and co-host, Stephen Ray, bringing you the real stories directly from the talented people in the room with us during the making of Thriller, the greatest selling album of all time. We welcome family vocal group The Waters, Orrin, Maxine, and Julia. They've performed on stage with superstar artists on blockbuster films, TV theme songs, landmark attractions, and literally hundreds of gold and platinum albums. The Waters are one of the most enduring talents ever launched into the music hit machine and were inducted into the Black Music Hall of Fame.
In this segment, the Waters family tells us about the fun times recording with Michael at home in Encino and watching him communicate with his llama, boa constrictor, and exotic birds. Michael also had a great sense of humor and was a prankster. We'll even hear a brief rendition of Mama Say, Mama Saw vocal part from Wanna Be Startin Somethin.
You know, we went to his house because we actually did the demo to Thriller, to Wanna Be Startin Somethin at his house.
That's right.
Right.
He was so excited for us to be there at his house with him doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he had ever brought other singers, you know, such as ourselves in to do that, but he had brought us in, and he was so excited for us to see his animals. And I think we even had lunch, didn't we? Did we go in and meet his
We
mother?
almost have lunch anything we do.
But as I'm talking now, but I'm thinking that we went inside and his mom was there.
I was gonna say, did Catherine cook something? Because when I was over there, she would cook something sometimes.
It seemed like she did. Seemed like she did. Seemed like we broke and we went to lunch, and I don't know if she had cooked, but I just remembered that was my first time really meeting her at that time.
Well, what about
You know,
what
his
animal? You
mom.
said animals? What are you talking about? What are you talking about there? Who did you meet?
Well, there were all types of different animals, exotic animals, and his relationship. Yes,
The llama was the most.
And one thing that stood out in my mind, and he showed me 1 or 2 things to this day that I also applied to my relationship with animals. And I'm glad this is coming up because the way he would move with the animal, and it allowed the animal, I think they were so accepting of him that he therefore did not have to do, even the birds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even birds. And right now I got birds that'll come down, and because of what Michael showed me a thing or two, and his relationship with the animals, the way he was able to move, where the movement is smooth and not jerky or things like that to cause panic in them. And they would just accept him, and he was very proud to take us in the yard and show us the animals and everything like that. Yes, he was.
So this is like early on then. This is like, because the animals I always thought of came in later on, but this is like in Encino.
No, he had him at his house before Never Neverland.
In Encino.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. They were in Encino. He had the birds. He had mussels, the snake.
Yes.
He had,
Yes.
the boa constrictor. And before that, he had a python, and he got rid of the python because the python was bad.
The llama.
The llama.
That stands more in my mind because I'm just saying, wow. You know,
And didn't he play around with the snake? You told me he brought it to Westlake, and because Quincy didn't like the snake, right? Who didn't like the snake?
Yeah, well,
I didn't like the snake, but I didn't see the snake.
I have photos of the snake wrapped around both Smelly and I, Michael and I.
Oh my God! Help!
I have photos of us clowning around with mussels. Yeah, he would play a trick. He if you remember, he could be quite the prankster. So he would hide mussels before Quincy and I would get there, and then all of a sudden mussels would pop out, or he'd be wrapped around the door hinge, and Quincy would look up, and mussels like hanging out on the door hinge, and Quincy would jump.
By him not having that childhood, he loved to laugh and to do prank stuff.
Yeah.
This is another thing that just when you said that, remember he would stop a session because Pippi Longstockings was gone. He need to go see He had the whole collection, I think, didn't he? Of
Yes, he did.
Pippi Longstocking. Seemed like he needed.
He always talked about
He
that.
always talked about. He loved Pippi Longstocking.
Oh, that's funny. You remember that guy you just brought back? Yeah.
When she said the
Because
childhood and all that.
he
'cause I can
loved to
remember.
just do pranks and to laugh, and you know,
Yeah.
which was a good thing and that put us at ease because we didn't have to be so. Oh, this is Michael Jackson. This is, and woo, 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 you know.
Yeah.
Which we were never that anyway.
So no, we weren't going to be that anyway. But that's
Right.
why he was so free, and we were so free.
Yeah.
Because we just fit into whatever he wanted
Yeah.
to do, and we would laugh with him.
And we could do what he wanted to.
And
musically, you know, what he wanted, we could do it. All you have to do is tell us.
Yeah, give us a direction.
Give us direction, and it's like that. And he had, you know, he could.
Yeah.
That's going back to why he said he loved to sing with us because we could match him exactly. He said
we could feel what he thought.
Fit
You
right
know, he
in
said,
with
I want to do this.
I always remember that voice in my
Yes.
head. I'm doing it wrong now, but the way that he talked.
That's
how he did.
You're
He was
doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He,
You're doing it right.
Also, when we were doing "Wanna Be Startin Somethin" too, and we were doing "Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa, Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa, Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa, Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa." I said, Michael, what did Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa mean? He said, "Oh, it don't mean nothing. Just sing it." And so that was all. That's how kind of how he was.
He told us.
You know.
Remember, he told us. He said, "It doesn't mean anything, but people are going to be having all kind of theories and stuff. What it actually meant, but it was because of the rhythms." And the sound that's what it was about. Am I right? And he said people are gonna say this means he meant this and this mean, and it didn't mean anything.
He loved, and that's the part he loved that would make him laugh because
he said they gonna just say what this means. And
did you guys? Anthony and I were talking about this. Did you guys realize that was portion of that interpolation of that was taken from Soul Makosa?
Yes, when we went, because we've gone to Africa, and when we went over there, and do you remember they would come up and they say that Soul Makosa, that come from Soul Makosa and stuff. We were made aware of that later.
Later.
Right.
So so you knew of Manu Dibango, but you found out about it afterward.
After, because we was arguing with them,
right?
Because they knew we had sang on it, you know what I mean? And that comes from that. We like, no, that came from Michael Jackson, you know what I mean?
But it did, didn't it?
No.
Do you remember the song Soul Makosa? You remember that song? It was a hit. Well, the line is in there. And
French? Is he French or is he African?
Cameroon.
Yeah. So, but we didn't know that at the time. We argued with him because our band at that time was international band. We had percussion players from Brazil and the guitar players from Africa. We from the United States.
Oh yeah.
It was an international band, and so we would argue with him. We'd get in arguments about is it Notre Dame or is it Notre Dame? All that kind of stuff.
We got in
that tour, that Paul Simon tour with that.
Oh, we laughed.
Going back to Michael, one thing, and I have to say this, and this is a sensitive type of moment, because the lyric also in "Wanna Be Startin Somethin" was "You're a vegetable, you're a vegetable, you're just a buffet. People eat off of you." And I wanted to ask him about that lyric, but that's when I asked him about Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa, because I did not want to bring that type of, I didn't want to address that type of
because we knew what that meant to him.
Well, we knew.
What do you think it meant?
It was a reveal into his inner self.
People eating off of him, feeding off of him, feeding off of him.
Using his energy, and just consuming him.
Yes.
And they consumed him up. They consumed that young man up.
But that
when
was
he
early.
just wanted to be a kid.
I mean, Thriller was like he was 24 or 25, so that's still really early.
He had lived his whole life.
He had lived
his whole life like that.
No, people were feeding off of him his whole life.
Well, that is a part of
his whole life.
I interpreted it like everybody was just
Well, they were. That's what I'm saying.
Eating them, just needing stuff, needing
Well, they
stuff.
were because they were making money off
he
of
was
him.
24, but he was making a lot of money. That's how it was affected.
Well, it was.
That's how I took it.
Well, it is.
I thought that it meant more like his Zen energy. Because
Well,
Michael had a Zen thing about him that he could turn on, and when he turned it on, it just go through the room. But when it came time to turn it off, sometimes people would not allow him to turn it off because his responsibility, to whom much is given, much is required. And so that's what I thought that maybe he was alluding to, that people depend on him so much, which is understandable because of who he was and his blessings. Everybody has different gifts. And his blessing was to be this superstar that he was.
And
if not one of the biggest ever. And he just wanted to be. And so they had to keep pulling at him to be Michael Jackson. He couldn't just be Mikey, or as you call him, what'd you call him?
Mel.
Yes, Smelly.
Yeah, Quincy gave him that nickname. Yeah.
And I'm sure he loved you guys calling him that.
Yeah.
Did Quincy call you guys anything? Did Quincy give you guys any nicknames? Do you remember?
No.
Join us for the next episode of Michael Jackson's Thriller album, Stories in the Room, with your hosts Anthony Marinelli and Stephen Ray. Watch our extended interviews on youtube.com/@StoriesInTheRoom. Audio-only interviews are available on all podcast networks. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok @StoriesInTheRoom. For the latest news and links, visit the website, StoriesInTheRoom.com. This podcast is produced by Christian D. Bruun and David Wolf, recorded by Audivita Studios. Additional recording by Ben Rackless. Edited by Jay Spang and Sean Hedinger. Music by Anthony Marinelli and Stephen Ray.
Michael Jackson's Thriller album.